And welcome everyone to another One Up XP Show podcast. As we are now starting season 2, we are sitting down with one of the bigger high schools in Northern Michigan with finally an esports program. And we are sitting down with their coach, but also sitting down with their team captain. We're going to talk to them about having an esports program, what it means to this giant high school, but also what it means to Northern Michigan right after this intro. Here we go. Classic intro of the One Up XP Show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And if you've seen our podcast before, when we have multiple Zoom guests, you'll see both names down there. But we have Jacob Snover, that is the team captain for Traverse City Central. That is the high school I'm talking about. You're the team captain, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure before I'm like taking somebody's title away. And then we also have Mitchell. I'm sorry that I didn't get this beforehand. Is it Heethuis?
Heethuis.
Heethuis.
Yes.
Oh, man. See, I already blew it. But thank you for joining us, Mr. Heethuis. Mitchell Heethuis here. He is the coach and also math teacher there at Traverse City Central. And a lot of people might realize or might finally start putting the pieces together that you're a gamer yourself. And that's how the kids kind of got involved. And then the program got involved. And we've talked about it multiple times about, a teacher plays games and students find out about it. And they're like, hey, this is cool. And then a program develops. And to be honest with you, I like that because not only is the teacher play video games, but they're committed. They know what these kids are going through and what they, have a passion for. And the program, I fully believe, only flourishes more from there because they have that same passion. But welcome, guys. Welcome to the One Up XP Show. And thank you for giving me the time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So this is what I really want to do is, one, let's talk about you guys, your video game backgrounds, and talk about Traverse City Central's esports program. First, we'll start off with Mitch. First of all, Mr. Heethuis, Mitchell, whatever you would like to call me, whatever you would like me to call you. How did it start for you? Where did video games start for you, and how did you end up at Traverse City Central, and then all of a sudden with this esports program?
Good questions. I feel like video games started young. I remember playing Super NES.
Oh yeah,
Mario. And, as time went on, you grab new games, and so
yep.
It just kind of built. I saw a recent clip on GoldenEye. I was like, man, those were good years.
Those were great years. I remember going to a friend's house and we would stay up all night randomly, and we would, golden guns or proxy mines or whatever, slappers only, man. That was the introduction to multiplayer, first person shooters, if you will, for us. And that was what, 97, 98, way back in the day, man.
It was a great year.
Kids these days just don't get it. Jacob, if you get your hands on that game, you have to play it, brother.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
You have 2 joysticks now. Back in my day, we had 1 joystick and C buttons.
Yeah, those camera buttons, man. That was the craziness that was. That was, God, it was so good though. But
started getting through. Then it was Halo and LAN parties, and we were running cables everywhere we could go, and we started finally found the internet, and then we Halo 2 days and doing some with Guitar Hero.
Yeah,
some of those good days.
That was right in my wheelhouse. That was my heyday. You started with NES, Super NES, went to PlayStation, went to 64, PS2, Xboxes, and today's generation, I find that a lot of them anymore start on Xbox or the original Xbox 360, somewhere in there, and then they just kind of continue to build like we did. They just never had the 8-bit taste of things for the most part. But Jacob, where did it start for you? Where did gaming start for you? And what brought you to kind of want to be in an esports program at Central?
For me, gaming started probably 5 or 6 years ago. My dad, Xbox for Christmas, like you said.
Right.
All kids started the Xbox. And I just loved playing on it. I wouldn't share it with my brother, which is kind of mean, but I just loved playing the games. I loved mainly driving games for some reason, just got me super excited. I was playing all the Forzas. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But I was sitting at lunch, as you know, and I heard that Mr. Heethuis likes to play video games. And I was like, huh, that's cool. How many other people at our school like to play video games?
Right.
So I looked into it and I found the esports community,
Mhm.
and I decided that Central needed an esports team. So I had created one.
Yeah, you're not wrong when it comes to that. And I, at the beginning of the show, I grew up in Cadillac, so we always played TC Central, TC West. We were always up in Traverse City. There are rivals, but you are the biggest high school in the viewing area for Northern Michigan. And I always wondered, like, when is Central or West going to get, or Traverse City in general, going to get an esports program? I saw NMC was getting one. I was like, it's not far away. They have to be getting one here shortly. And boom, Jacob, the Lord and Savior that is, said we need an esports program, and Mr. Heethuis was like, yeah, we need an esports program. So let's talk about how it came about and what it takes to make a kind of an esports program there at the high school level. What'd you have to do, Jacob, to get this like through and approved as like a club there, Traverse City Central?
Well, I asked around several people, and they said just make a club first. So I went out and I got a club application, and I talked to Mr. Heethuis about it. And once we got all that signed away, it actually took. I put the application in probably 3 or 4 weeks before the school season ended. Okay. So we went, and I think I got it back approved at like 1 or 2 weeks before the school year ended. So I didn't have enough time to build it. So I said, fresh start, new year.
Right.
2021 is going to be the start of the esports. And that's what I did. So I turned it into a club, and now we're hoping to put it into a team.
That's awesome. And what games were you guys specifically kind of focusing on when you started the club?
So we mainly focused on Rocket League because it's not a huge game, and we have a yearbook program at Central that has pretty big computers. So we took those computers and we just asked the tech department to download Rocket League on them. And then once we got those downloaded, we were able to play at school and compete.
And Mr. Heethuis, this is where you kind of came in. You played Rocket League yourself, and the kids said, yeah, let's play some Rocket League. When did you know that this was going to be something that, you guys could compete with and get away with there at Central?
That's where the red tape comes in. But what's awesome is there was filters. There was getting through, can we game during the school day? Because everything the school does is trying to stop us from gaming during the school day. So once we talked to the tech department, they're like, oh, yeah, we can do that. Do you guys need computers? Do you guys need stuff? Do you need filters? Like whatever you guys need to do. And they were awesome working with us. And so they were very supportive. A lot of the guys over there game themselves. And so they knew what it needed to do.
Right.
And so they're just talking to the right people. Talked about the athletic director. He's like, oh, yeah, that's getting big. Let's do that. And so it just seems like, I thought there's going to be a whole lot of red tape. And it turns out every time I asked, the door opened, and we've kept running, which has been great.
And that's a lot of things that I find with these programs is I think a lot of people are not afraid to ask, but just don't know how it's going to be recepted, or, how people are going to respond to those questions. And then when they're asked, they're like, oh, okay, that's all I had to do was, say this. Yeah, sure, there might be a hurdle or two they have to jump, but for the most part, they say, a lot of people that I've had, Kalkaska, Marion, they said, yeah, people were actually very responsive to this, especially when you lay it on the line, because a lot of people understand that esports is growing, and people realizing that, wow, these college programs out there do have, under the esports umbrella, ways that kids can continue to chase their passion. Even if it's not in esports, they can get an engineering degree, get a little bit of esports money to help as well, and follow that dream. So there is a lot of doors, like you said, opening not only for you guys, but for many kids in this field. And like we've seen, I don't think it's going to be too far down the road where many high schools are continuing to follow you guys now. Whereas, it was just a handful of schools in our viewing area that had high school. Now I think you're probably going to see it explode even a bit more here, trouncing through the new year. But let's talk about some of the achievements that you guys had. I mean, getting an esports program is an achievement in itself, but let's talk about the first season that you guys had. You were competing in MySEF, correct?
Correct.
And with MySEF, there's a few schools in there, but how did the first season go, Jacob?
For the first season, our varsity team out of 27 teams in Michigan, we placed 13th.
Okay.
So it wasn't too bad. It was not too good.
No, that's good.
I thought it was pretty good for a first season.
Yeah, that's really good for a first season.
And then our lower club level ranked 12 out of 26. So we ranked about
Okay.
middle.
Yeah, that's still really good. When you look at first
Mhm.
year programs, a lot of people might think, well, we're here, we'll figure it out as we go. But you guys were above 50%. I mean, like, what a lot of people might not understand is you're playing against people that have been playing a while, even some
Mhm.
programs that have been playing a while. So I mean, those are great numbers, Jacob. And you're only going to get better, and as maybe from the coach side of things, what did you see improve in these kids, Mr. Heethuis?
A big part of it is just recognize it's a team sport.
Right.
So when you have a bunch of students who've played, a lot of the experience they've had have been individual.
Right.
That they're running games solo, and that's kind of the setup they've done. So it's really cool to watch them kind of get together for the first time. They're like conventions, left goes, and
Yep.
this person goes for boost, and
Yeah.
this is how rotations work. And I was like, so I was learning, going, I didn't know all this existed. You start recognizing that it actually is a team sport. So you're experiencing. I played soccer and looking at hockey, and you're like,
Oh yeah.
that's the same structures.
Yep.
And so it is coaching a team.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I noticed when I played Rocket League and started doing ranked with my buddies. I was like, guys, I can do this. I played hockey. Like, I know the rotations, and not everybody going deep because you're gonna get caught. And I was like, this is traditional sport playing into esports. So it's those skills when you think about it. Like, a lot of these kids that might, and Jacob, you played hockey, so you know that as well. But a lot of kids that might not have that traditional background in sports, this is kind of their first kind of introduction to those skills: teamwork, communication, the rotations, and just like how you build a team structure in a team sport. They might not have had that taste before. So yeah, this is something that I think a lot of people, not only the traditional sports background, but a lot of other people coming into it, are going to grasp it and be like, oh, hey, cool. And I think that's one reason why high schools are all about it, because you're teaching a set of skills to kids that might not have it if they're not in traditional sports. So there is another door, another avenue for these skills. But let's talk about the goals for the program long term. Jacob, I know you're going to be graduating here, not super soon, but you got what, a year and a half left, brother?
Yeah.
All right.
So next year will be my senior year.
Your senior year next year. Let's talk about this program, because what does a program do when the captain and the godfather of the program decides he has to move on to something else? Where do we go with the goals that you have over the next year for you, but Mr. Heethuis over the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Well, one of the big things is establishing leadership. So one of my goals right now, personally, as a leader, is to set up those future leadership for our club so it can keep thriving and stuff after I leave and move on to college and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, that's exactly what you want to do in the next year, year and a half that you have there, is set the groundwork so kids can continue to do what you do. Man, you got a good head on your shoulders, Jacob. I'm not going to lie to you, brother. Mr. Heethuis, what do you see down the long term? Because with you kind of being at the helm here, do you see yourself at the helm 2, 3, 5 years down the road?
So I don't see myself at the helm now. Jacob is. What's been great about the club is it really is student led.
Right.
And so I advise. I clear obstacles out of the way. I make sure that we have a place to be and nothing gets in our way. But Jacob's been running it, and so he's built a great team of. I was surprised how versatile this is. So we have a stream team. We have those that actually do the gaming. There's talk about those that are into hardware and software and modding and all these different components that I had no idea existed, really.
Yep.
And so you start getting in this, you're like, well, this is, all those skill sets are exactly what you want. So there's graphic design that we're working through.
Yep.
And so we're building out different capacities and different teams and different leaders. And so there's depth there.
Yeah.
So my kind of role is to get out of their way and let them keep doing that, and them build out what skills they're going to go for and what they're passionate about. So long term, keep them leading.
Yeah.
At some point, if we as a district or as an area want to say like this is a sports team, then we start looking at the coaching aspect and kind of build it that way. But for now, it's a student led club, and they're doing a great job with it.
I like that. Idea to it. You're there to help any obstacle that might come in the way. But for the most part, these kids are doing it themselves. And you know what? That gives them a foot up if they want to go to the collegiate level, because they have that background. They have that information. And what many programs might not have, these kids have more on, or they have more hands-on research and background to it than many kids going into those programs. And there's many programs out there that deal with that marketing, that deal with the social media aspects, software, hardware, playing, production, graphic design. And you guys are playing right into that. That is, again, 100% on nail on the head. Perfect. I call what a perfect program for high school, because you're there to help them get over a hurdle. But Jacob and the team's there doing, what they got to do. And that, to me, that is a perfect kind of leadway to, let's continue to grow this club team and see what we can do. Because I haven't heard of a club team that's doing that, where it's, Jacob and the team doing the majority of the work, which is great, because it gives those kids, again, those skills to continue on if they want to down the road. But let's jump into some of the questions here, and feel free. I mean, I think I have one or two that is individually to each of you, but the big one that we hinted to at the beginning of the show is one of the bigger high schools in Northern Michigan. Do you think this will help springboard other schools into high school esports? And I know we were talking beforehand, Mr. Heethuis, that you've had some calls and a lot of people reaching out saying, how do we do this? How do we start this? But do you guys think with TC Central entering the equation now, do you think a lot more schools like Gaylord or Petoskey, Cadillac, a lot of these other schools, do you think they springboard in?
Absolutely. I mean, I've heard that West is starting development on their esports team just because that they saw that we had one.
Good.
So hopefully we're inspiring other students to take forth and probably start an esports team.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, you just like, you kind of the step for a bigger school into it. I mean, I can only imagine that's the biggest thing, is you want to inspire other schools to, kind of follow in your footsteps, even if it's your rival, Jacob, which, it's cool to have the rivals there. But with, any competition, any other schools would be great, especially the opposing school across town. But I can only imagine a lot of those high schools, like Gaylord or the Big North in general, or even smaller schools, are saying, hey, we can do this. And it's cool to have, your name at the bottom saying, yeah, Central had this, we reached out to Central. So, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. Mr. Heethuis, I mean, can you count on one hand, two hands, how many schools have kind of reached out to you?
Probably at two hands now of those
good.
reached out, but NMC really did the same thing for us.
Right.
They learned that we were up and running, or at least trying to, and they reached out and went, how can we help? Like, here's how you start this thing up. Here's what we did. Do you want to come see our lab? We can do some scrims together, like the whole setup for us. And so when we started getting phone calls and emails, it was just carry that forward. Make sure that other teams do the same thing.
Kind of side question here, kind of a tangent. Do you guys work with Central when it comes to like practicing or like kind of some information or what you should be doing and stuff like that? Like, do you guys use the NMC for like practice at all or anything like that, or lands?
I don't think
we facilities.
Okay. No.
But we've done scrimmages, and that's actually kind of the first group we kind of scrimmaged with was.
Oh, really?
Was with NMC, and so we were like, hey, let's play some Rocket League, and they went on. And that's kind of what we kind of started with, and then we got to see how they set up their lab and their filters and the whole process. And so it gave us tech idea too, because we had talked to our tech department. They're like, well, this is what NMC did, because there's something we could do that there. And like, well, no, but we could do this.
Right.
So it gave us springboards for us to think through our next steps.
Jacob, how was the scrims? Was the competition good with NMC?
Yeah, definitely. They were a really good team. I don't think we won any of them, but it was really good to just scrim against another actual professional esports team. It was like the first one.
I'll point out we won one round when they put their subs in.
Hey, you got that under your belt. That's good. I mean, they're a collegiate team, man.
Absolutely.
And they play. I mean, and here's the thing about esports right now that a lot of people might not understand is, it doesn't matter the size of college, collegiate esports team. They beat, D1 teams. They beat D2 teams. They beat D3 teams. There's different levels of college, yes. But the thing is, when it comes to esports, everyone's kind of on a level playing field. The majors aren't always going to beat the little JUCO colleges, if you will. So it's cool that you guys have that under your belt and get that competition, because it shows you, kind of what you want to, if you want to go down that path to collegiate. That's kind of where things are when it comes to the collegiate esports. I like that you guys got to be part of that scrimmage. That's pretty cool. I like that. What league does Traverse City play in? I know we were talking my stuff, but is there any plans of getting into other leagues that you guys have, or maybe even introducing new games if you can get into other leagues?
I mean, as of right now, we're only a club. So as a club, I see us playing in my SEF because it's free and we don't have to pay for like passes or anything.
Right.
But if we were to become a bigger thing and become a team, I could see the school sponsoring us and saying that we can play in a bigger national level or go into HSCL and play at a bigger level.
Yeah, it's not like my play versus or something along those lines. And then once you get like kind of that level, if you will, you could say, okay, we want a League of Legends teams or a Valorant team or something like that, where kids would probably, other kids who specialize in that game, if you will, would step up rather than, just having Rocket League. But yeah, like you said, you got to start somewhere, and then build it up. But are kids surprised when they find out Central has an esports team? Like, does everyone know you have an esports club team yet?
I mean, it's announced every once in a while.
Is it?
We have announcements that we have our recruiting night or something that's coming up. But when you ask a Central student, they don't always know that we're there.
Right.
I hope that in the future that we become a bigger thing. We become like we're the best team in esports.
Right.
And we become a name.
Right. I mean, Traverse City always has a name for themselves when it comes to sports. I'm not gonna lie. We wanted to beat them in football badly every year, and I will say this: I did drop the game-winning pass against Central with no time left on the clock, and I've always kicked myself for it. So, you're welcome, Central. I gave you a free victory. In hockey, we went back and forth, but baseball, I don't even know if we even had a chance, but it's fine. But yeah, it was always a thing for us to go and play Traverse City, and I think when Traverse City always holds themselves to higher standards. Like, you guys always want to be good at what you do. I mean, that's just the case. It doesn't matter if you're Central or West. You always want to be the best. I mean, that goes for any competition in general. But Traverse City always seems to do something right, and then everybody kind of falls in line and then says, okay, we'll do that. Maybe we'll put our own spin on it. But I think you guys are just fine. I think you guys will end up leading the charge. What are parents' reactions, thoughts when they find out that Traverse City has an esports program or a club team, if you will? But what did your parents initially think, Jake?
My parents, I told them about it and they were just like neutral on it. They didn't really care. But then I got it approved and I got it actually people joining it like very rapidly, and they were like, "This is really cool."
Yeah.
When the Record Eagle actually reached out to me, that's when they really knew that it was going to be a big thing.
I think your dad was reaching out to me on Facebook one of the times, and I was like, yeah, I got Jake. I got his number. Don't worry. We're in touch. But I like that your parents, were like, okay, what is this? And now they're like, oh, yeah. Okay, we see. Mr. Heethuis, have you talked to any parents? Be like, what is this all about? Or have you had any parents asking you questions about the esports club team?
Yeah, quite a bit. I got quite a few emails and phone calls, and they ask in the hallway and some of these sort of things too when we have our conferences. And it's all been positive.
Good.
I've only heard things and saying like, hey, that sounds actually a really cool thing. And after being remote for a year, or after dealing with COVID,
right?
I think it clicked for a lot of parents. Like, my student needs to connect somewhere and needs to be part of something bigger than themselves. And so that totally makes sense to play games together.
Right.
But I haven't heard the negative ones. I'm sure they're out there. I mean, my wife had a few comments of like, is that really a thing? And then she met my students. She's like, this is awesome. This is totally a cool idea. And those are great kids you're hanging out with, and they have good heads on their shoulders, and they're supporting each other and enjoy playing games. It makes complete sense.
Yeah, the more I deep dive in this, because I have a passion for video games. We all have a passion for video games. But when you start exploring the worlds of what is collegiate esports or professional esports, high school esports, middle school esports, you start to realize like their passion is just as big as everyone else's passion. And when a lot of parents ask me when I stepped away from morning weather to pursue this passion, they're like, wait, video games? I was like, yeah, you wouldn't believe it if I told you, and they don't. But then, when they see it or when I try to explain it to them, they're like, okay. And then it gets really nutty when you start seeing like people bringing jobs from, professional sports. I don't want to upgrade. But it's telling me to upgrade. I don't want to upgrade. So like a trainer, imagine yourself a trainer, right? If you have a professional esports team or a football team, you would not play football without a trainer, correct? So when you look at professional esports, why would you play professional esports without a trainer? Because there are actual, believe it or not, real injuries when it comes to esports. It might not be the physical injuries that you see with, bang 'em up, hit 'em sports, but you see them in the posture, their eyeballs, what they're doing mentally and also physically with hands, because you're moving everything that you don't usually move millions more times. And it was like, that makes sense. But when you tell people there's esports doctors, like, wait, what? Why is there esports doctors? No, they're there. And so a lot of people, I think, are just starting to see what is becoming esports, because even esports people don't really see what is happening in esports. It's so young. And when we're getting to this point, it's just like, okay, explain to me, do a little deep dive research, and people are starting to understand it a little bit more. So I have to ask this, Jacob. You said that West is, thinking about it, but when is the TC Central and TC West rival Rocket League game going to happen here?
I mean, as soon as they get a team up and running and they reach out to me, I'll set it up and I'll make it big. But once they get one going,
we'll broadcast that as soon as you have West and Central, buddy. We'll broadcast that right on our station. We'll get it right on View It. We'll put it on YouTube. We'll put it everywhere, because that needs to happen. We need to see these rival games in esports. Do you work alongside? We talked about with NMC, but this might even be more for Mr. Heethuis. When you were talking to Dr. Terry Gustafson, did you work hand in hand and kind of getting things set up? Like you said, you kind of explored their tech and whatnot. But how close was NMC working with you guys to get this all set up?
A lot of the same conversation we've been having with groups. We set up a meeting. They came in one of our startup meetings, and we just asked Terry, like, how do we start this thing? Where are some roadblocks that you hit? Where are some things we have to worry about?
Right.
And she gave us a whole list, and so that became our homework. That's what we're going to work on to get this thing launched. And so it just creates a framework for us to know what the next steps are. And so when schools call me, I walk them through the same thing. We're in this league.
Oh, did we lose you? I just missed some audio there for a second. There we go. I think I got you. Nope. I don't have you. I don't know what's going on. We lost Mr. Heethuis. Half a second.
Audio check?
Yeah, there we go. We're good now. Sorry, we lost you at, I think I spent some time there getting all that stuff checked out. Yeah,
where'd you lose me?
Where we were talking about, you spent some time checking the things out.
I don't know. I lost the
I was just asking sorry. Zoom technology. We talked about it. Technology would not be technology without a few issues right off the bat. But yeah,
those two. We had to figure out how to do all sorts of things with technology, of how to do updates and how to do logins and how to make sure our boundaries were there.
We can edit this right out here. But yeah, this so how close were you working hand in hand with NMC when you guys decided that you had to get everything all set up? And what did it include? I mean, Dr. Terry Gustafson is a wonderful human being, so I can only imagine she was like, yeah, come check everything out. But how close was it that you were working with NMC and getting everything all set up for you guys?
So a lot of it was the initial startup. Right. It's just a matter of what things we need to have in place, what league we can join, how to get equipment, what filters look like. That whole startup process and having that list in place of these are the obstacles you're going to run into and the problems you're going to have. Let me tell you ahead of time, so you don't have to, run through all the stuff we did.
Right.
And that was everything we needed to get started.
Got you. And I mean, that's great. I love Central. I love that Central worked with NMC, and NMC kind of, got the ball rolling for you guys, because when the ball started rolling for NMC, I was like, I got to be a part of that. I got to get 9 and 10 on the bandwagon here with some of this, because it was happening so much with people downstate and all the colleges downstate. I was like, I got to do this for Northern Michigan. I got to get everybody up here to see what this is happening, because it's exploding everywhere else. So, I mean, that was I'm just so glad that NMC was able to do that for you guys. Jacob, this question's for you. Do you plan on pursuing esports outside of high school? Do you have a plan of after you graduate, what college you want to go to? And if what college you do want to go to, does it have an esports program that you're thinking about?
So as far as college goes, I want to do engineering. I'm already at Career Tech Center for mechatronics or robots and automation, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So I do a bit of engineering already, so I definitely want to go into that field. But as far as schools go, I've already looked into a couple of big names. Michigan Tech is one of the number one I'm looking at, because they have a team and they have a good engineering program. So
that's a huge program. Grand Valley has a really good engineering program as well, and they have a new esports team here. In fact, I've sat down with their coach and one of their esports athletes. He's a pro for Lazarus as well. But he's going for an engineering degree, and he's like, yeah, I could play Apex here too. So why not? Yeah, a lot of options for you. I will say, if you need any ins to Tech or Grand Valley, I know both their coaches well. So just punch me in the shoulder if you need a little help there. But Coach, this one goes to you. Or I should say, Mr. Heethuis. He's not a coach; he's an advisor. Do you plan on coaching or building the program after Jacob moves on? We kind of hit on this a little earlier, but you kind of, like you said, the kids are doing it on your own, but you have to think, are you going to be, advising 2, 3, 5 years down the road? Do you see yourself kind of doing this as, yeah, let the kids do it, but are you still going to oversee everything, once Jacob moves on and new kids move in?
I guess it kind of depends. I think at some point, either I got to learn as fast as they are, or they're going to outgrow me, and that's okay too.
Right.
So that's what I've seen for a lot of this is I've learned so much so fast. I feel like I can continue to help advise the future groups coming through, but I think at some point, if they want to go very competitive, or if they want to kind of shift their focus from being, right now it's been a very inclusive group. It's been, let's just hang out and play together, and let's be social online and kind of build some of that pieces. If the focus shifts, I think at some point they'll probably outgrow me, and I'll probably step aside and let a coach take over. Because it is a different mindset of how this would run.
Right. It is very different when you have somebody that, the expertise of coaching, if you will. Not to say that you can't do it, but it is a little bit different when somebody who's, has a coaching degree and they might have an expertise in esports coaching. But I could see you maybe, stepping in. I wouldn't say you're not going to, but I think you could do it, especially with what you learn from the kids. Kids, I think you have a good teacher in the kids helping you because, what they know is just going to rub off on you when it comes to Rocket League. Like you said, the rotations and what you got to do. So don't worry. I'm in the same boat. I learn every day when it comes to all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But that does it for pretty much the question portions. Is there anything that you guys want to say before we jump into a fun game here at the end? But is there anything you guys want to mention when it comes to Central Esports club team that you got there, Jacob or Mr. Heethuis?
That's why I mentioned the rest of the crew. We've got a group of great students that are happily jump in and share their expertise and learn new skills, and it's been really cool to be part of it. So I'm just honored to be part of the group.
Jacob, anything you got?
I would just say if you're a Central student and you play video games, just come and play with us. Like, you don't even have to be good at esports. So you don't have to be good at a game. You don't even have to know a game. Just come play. It's a fun time.
It really is. I mean, I think that's the big thing that, and we've talked about with other coaches. There's something about video games that brings everybody back and brings everybody, like Mr. Heethuis and I was talking, the memories for us go back all the way to GoldenEye. And like, that's the thing that does it for me for video games. Like the friendships, the memories that you always have, there's nothing better than that. And there's always video games you can always go back to, whether you want to have a good time, whether you want to make new memories, whether you want to be competitive. Like there's so many options when it comes to video games, whether you're sitting down for 30 minutes and playing with someone, or if you're sitting down for an 8-hour session, whatever it is, like those memories will never leave. And I think not only, Jacob, you're getting those memories, but Mr. Heethuis can tell you there's something special about video games, and you guys are doing it right up there at TC Central. So 10 rapid fire questions. Just answer off the top of your head. And if you want to justify your answers, you can. But question 1, favorite platform / console of all time.
What was the question?
Favorite platform / console of all time.
Super NES.
Super Nintendo for Mr. Heethuis.
Yeah.
I probably just have to say Xbox because that's all I've ever played on.
Okay. And that's super simple for you then. But hey, I'll tell you this.
Every year I play NHL 98 with my brother at Christmas time. That's still the one.
Yep. NHL 94 is what did it for me. I was like, yeah, this one's going in the bank. But Jacob, once you get a PC, brother, yeah, your world's going to open up. I'm just going to tell you that now. Favorite game of all time.
That's difficult.
It is Halo for Mr. Heethuis. That is a good one. Have you played the new one? You've had to play the new one, right?
I just started tinkering with it, but I haven't actually got into it.
Halo Infinite to me feels the most like Halo 2 that I've ever played, which is great because Halo 2 is what, got me into the competitive bug to begin with. But like Halo Infinite, when it came out, we played it probably a week or two straight, and I was like, Yeah, this is good. It's the only game I know nowadays that feels better playing on controller than anything else. Like on mouse and keyboard, you
I
can do
got pretty
anything.
discouraged after 4 and 5, I have to say. So
Oh yeah, I did too. Once Bungie left, I was like, I don't know if 343 can do this, but
I agree. Mistake.
Jacob, what's yours?
Right now I'd have to say Rocket League because I've been playing a lot of that recently. But like over time, like my most like game would probably be like Minecraft, just something I've played a lot of with my friends and family.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I found a home for Minecraft, man. I was telling Mr. Heethuis about it prior to us starting the show. It was like I was always told, you know, Minecraft is a kid's game. Why are you playing that? I was like, I've never played it, and they're like, well, try it. And I tried it. I got sucked in, man. Like I now have a modded Minecraft server. I have a nuclear power plant inside of my little dome, and like I do all the spells. Like I'm at the Ender Dragon. Like I know what I'm doing now. I was like, this is not a kid's game, brother. This is the best game ever. And you know, it is blocks, and it is like the simplest game. But man, I cannot get enough of it. Go to snack while in a gaming session. If you snack at all while playing.
Gummy worms.
Gummy worms, attaboy. Many pros have said the same thing. Something that won't make your hands all oily.
I still love my Cheez-Its.
Yep, Cheez-Its are another one. Many coaches have said Cheez-Its, so you know you're not in bad company there, Mr. Heethuis. Favorite TV show / movie?
Series, Lord of the Rings.
Ooh, he's gonna go with Lord of the Rings. Now, uncut Blu-ray edition, because those are an extra like 3 hours.
Yes, full dedication.
Full dedication. Yeah, that's
LARP, watch it.
Yeah, that's my wife. We have them all extra uncut. I was like, every time we watch the second one, I was like, I'm gonna take a nap now because you're just it's a long walking movie.
Sure, you gotta recharge.
Yep. Jacob, what's favorite TV show or movie?
I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but my favorite movie series would have to be the whole Avengers series. I love that Marvel stuff.
Marvel? Yeah. I mean, I'm in the same boat when it comes to like nowadays movies. Well, I mean, it's tough because one, I was never a comic book kid, but I loved watching X-Men on Fox in the mornings on Saturdays, Spider-Man, Batman. And I never read the comic books, but I was always the cartoon kid. So I always liked those. And so when Marvel decided to do it right, I spent 10 years of my life wondering what Endgame was going to be, right? I was dedicated to every movie being like, what's next? What's next? Learning about Thor and like all these new characters. I was like, this is sick. I dedicated 10 years of my life to see what Disney and Marvel had to do. And hats off, because I've never cried so hard in the last Endgame movie when everybody showed up. I was like, oh my God, why am I crying? I don't know, but it was just so emotional. I was bawling in the middle of a movie theater because superheroes were reappearing.
You're not alone.
Yeah. I was just like so emotional I cried at Ghostbusters, for crying out loud. If you have not seen that movie yet, go see it. I'm a Ghostbusters freak, the original. And so like this new one, oh my God, I bawled. It was so good. Chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin cookies?
Chocolate chip.
Okay.
Oatmeal raisin.
Yeah. I knew I liked Mr. Heethuis. I put this out there, like my wife's like, oatmeal raisin, who eats that? I was like, you do not understand the power of oatmeal raisin.
It is next level.
It is so good. When you get a good oatmeal raisin cookie, there's no chocolate chip cookie that can contend. I'm sorry. And she's like, people love chocolate chip more. I was like, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. But don't worry, Jacob. I don't dislike your answer. I do like chocolate chip.
Maybe I just haven't had the right oatmeal raisin cookie.
It takes time. It's like one of those over time you realize oatmeal raisins where it's at.
And the reason I like it so much since I was a kid was I had a sweet old 90-year-old neighbor when I was a kid that would always give me oatmeal raisin cookies. They were fresh baked. Ooh, my goodness.
Reminds me of grandma.
Thank you, Dot, wherever you are now. It's probably up in heaven. Favorite pro traditional sports team?
Probably the Red Wings.
Attaboy. The Stevie Y plan.
Absolutely. During the time when I watched sports, it was Red Wings. That was totally.
That was exactly it. I mean, 28 years of making playoffs. I mean, they were.
So I love the NHL game because I had the whole Red Wings team lined up. I had coffee in there, and like we were just getting it.
Yeah, and you had the grind line. I mean, there was something different about that Wings team, man. And they set something up, and then they just continue to bring people in. I was like, man, it's good to be a hockey. I mean, that's the reason I played hockey. Darren McCarty beat the crap out of Claude Lemieux. Was like, I'm playing hockey. I'm playing hockey. And still to this day, I've talked to Darren McCarty because I worked with him at Woodward Sports briefly. I told him, I was like, you're the reason I started playing hockey. He's like, oh, you're not the only one to say that. It's like, I'm glad someone else has said the same thing because I was sitting on my couch, 10 years old, Darren McCarty, Claude Lemieux. I was like, Mom, I want to do that. She's like, no. I started playing hockey, ran it all the way through college. Cat or dogs?
Dogs. I am allergic to cats, like really allergic. So
Absolutely.
Yep, dogs. I got 2 of them. Not to say we don't dislike cats, but I mean, if you're definitely allergic, I mean, you have to kind of go with dogs. I get that. Jacob, this one might be a little hard for you. I don't know if you're driving a car yet, but first car.
Yeah, I drive.
Okay, first car. What's your first car?
My first car is a little Lincoln MKX. It's just a rebranded version of a Ford Edge. So it's a nice car.
I will say it's a little bit nicer than my Ford Probe that I had back in the day. But Mr. Heethuis, what was your first car?
94 Buick Regal. It
was
maroon,
the Buick
Regal.
Maroon.
It was the ultimate old man car. I wore my old man fishing cap and leant over the wheel and never got pulled over. It was the best.
Yep. I had a 1989 Ford Probe, white with red interior. Grandma's car, hand me down, but Grandma likes sports looking cars, so that was that one. All right, this one's out of left field, so think about this one carefully. Would you rather be attacked by 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
I'm in for the duck-sized horses. I would punt those things one after another. It would be fantastic.
I would say the same thing because ducks are mean. I've been in the park. Mean animals.
He knows, folks. He knows. Yeah, I've had both. This is a 50-50 question. Many people have said, they'll take the 1 horse-sized duck and they like have bread or something. But many people have said, yeah, we'll take 100 duck-sized horses and climb a tree or punt them. As Mr.
I'm not saying I'm going to win. I'm just going to say it's be fun doing it.
Oh yeah, I mean you're not wrong. If you had 100, there's a lot though. 100 of them, your leg might get tired after about 25. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that would be a very interesting route. I'm not gonna lie. Anywhere in the world, boys, where are you going?
I've always wanted to see Australia.
Oh, cool. I think that's the first time I've had that answer. A lot of people have said Ireland. There you go. I've had a few Irelands. Now I have to guess, Mr. Heethuis, you have Irish genes.
My wife does.
Okay,
so it's her dream, and I want to go with it. It's gonna be awesome.
I was gonna say you probably a German Irish, and you wanted to have some of that. I'm Czech and Irish. I wouldn't mind going to Czech, the old stomping grounds of my grandma and great grandparents. Prague, I heard, is beautiful, but I can honestly say if there was somewhere that I had to live that wasn't Northern Michigan, because I love the 4 seasons. I love the ice, Jacob, of course. But Hawaii, my goodness gracious, like Hawaii was some next level. I felt like I had like just beat the boss in timely fashion. Like it was 85-degree water, 90 during the day, 75 at night, no bugs. I was like, this is heaven. Like I don't know where I ended up. It's expensive, but it's heaven. But yeah, that was my answer. I've not heard Australia yet though. Why Australia?
I don't know. It seems cool. There's a lot of big bugs and stuff. I just thought that'd be pretty neat.
You're not wrong. Like 20 of the deadliest things in the world live there. So, yeah, we'll send you there, Jacob. We'll see how you fare.
I'll fight a kangaroo.
I'll fight a kangaroo. That video where the guy just clocks that kangaroo at his dog. Yeah, I'm praying for you on that one, Jacob. I think you can do it. But no, guys, I really appreciate being here. Thank you for sitting down and talking to me on the 1UpXP show. You guys, TC Central does have a Twitch channel. It is Esports TCC, and you can check out some of the matches that will be broadcast on there. Jacob, when do you guys start up again?
I'm not sure. Sometime in February, I believe.
Okay, yeah. And I think at the end of January, you guys have kind of sign up and. Whoever's interested, so whoever's interested, get a hold of you, Mr. Heethuis, get a hold of Jacob. Is that how you guys roll that?
Yep,
absolutely.
Until the January 27th to sign things up, and then we'll be starting the next week.
All right, cool, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for being on the 1UpXP show, and I'll be in touch. We'll see how the season goes. And Jacob, you being the team captain, brother, reach out to me if you need anything, and if anybody else needs anything, don't hesitate to ask.
Will do.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Thank you.